cray cray. Hey, hey, I want your AKA Jonescast. Hey, I want you to hear me now. Believe me later. Hey, dear listeners, true believers. Welcome once again to the AKA Jonescast. Tonight's episode, AKA Shark in the Bathtub, Monster in the Bed. The shooting forces Jessica to rethink her plans. Meanwhile, Oscar asks for help with a family crisis. And Trish's frustration, finally. Trish's. Our director was Rosemary Rodriguez. Brian Michael Bendis, of course, gets our based on characters by credit. And our created by is Melissa Rosenberg. Tonight's writer, just one, Jenny Klein, did the whole thing all by herself. Okay, so this comes in the aftermath immediately after the gunshot last episode. And, of course, Elisa... By the way, isn't it, I don't know if this is neat to anyone else, but I like the fact that Alias is a anagram of Elisa, or sort of... Yeah, it's an anagram of Elisa, so I like that. It's actually Elisa, just the S and the A is reversed. Yeah, I thought that was a neat touch on the whole thing. So Elisa goes after Chen, and I'm sorry, Chang, Price Chang, and nearly Terry Chen plays the character. That was what was confusing me. And nearly kills him, but Jessica, interestingly enough, makes the choice to drug Price, not her mom.
Right.
Which is, when you think about it, kind of an odd choice to make there, because, as they do make the point, they weren't sure, she did not know how much drug was in that. She did not know if, this would kill him or not. Good news is he does not die.
Right.
But we have this basic problem where they have the shark in the bathtub. He is this guy who just took a shot at them, and he is in their bathtub, tied up and drugged. But what did they do with him? And, I find it, kind of interesting that, in classic mom style, Alyssa is very critical of Jessica's plan. And, not that she has a better one. Well, or maybe Alyssa's plan is, well, let's just go on the lam and we can be mom and daughter together.
Right.
Though, as Jessica points out to her, it wouldn't be like this, It wouldn't be this pleasant being together that we have right this minute. Because it's not that pleasant right this minute after all.
That's interesting. I don't know, because that's interesting. But when I was listening to that conversation, that piece of the conversation struck me as odd, because I thought she was saying it wouldn't be this bad between us if all those things didn't happen. Like, we would be okay. We wouldn't have to do this if all those things didn't happen. So I didn't even look at it from that perspective, but that's interesting.
Yeah, well, no, because my thing is that if it was, we could have had that happy domesticity, then there wouldn't have been an argument against it. The point is that this happy domesticity, this is not real. This is
a farce.
Yeah, this is literally us improvising to get through this moment.
Right.
But of course, her mom wants to make it be this whole thing because she wants to make her breakfast spaghetti and all this kind of stuff. Which and I just realized that she put jelly, that it's like butter and jelly. I have never heard this before. This is a shock to me, this idea of breakfast spaghetti with butter and jelly.
I mean, it sounds completely out of left field, but I think I might enjoy it.
I mean, I could see someone making it,
Yeah.
I have, hey, I live in Jersey where we have butter rolls, Just a roll with butter, and that's considered a perfectly acceptable breakfast. So the idea that you're going to put butter and
it's
jelly,
delicious.
It's fantastic. Put butter and jelly on just noodles. It's noodles instead of a roll, you know? And it's more of a sit-down
and think about it, texturally speaking, too. If they were like cold noodles, right? Mm-hmm. And you threw a little bit of melted butter and some jam on there, oh, man, that doesn't sound terrible. It sounds like a desserty thing. I could put that on ice cream and it'd be great, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I eat sesame noodles all the time, which is basically just noodles and peanut butter. You know, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's one of those things that when you described it as breakfast spaghetti, it kind of, it hit me out of left field, and I didn't even realize that it was meant to be a sweet dish. I actually, when she said breakfast spaghetti, I thought it was like literally, here's cold spaghetti from the fridge, let's eat it for breakfast.
Right,
you know,
right.
That's my bachelor nature. You know, it's like, breakfast spaghetti, that's spaghetti you eat for breakfast. But no. But apparently that is what it is. I mean, and then, you know, when I really started thinking about it, I thought maybe you put like some egg in it, you know, like maybe like a farmer's breakfast, you got like the scrambled eggs mixed in with the spaghetti noodles, but no, it's just, you know, butter and jam on noodles. So as Alyssa says, you know, not even she can screw up what is essentially, you know, starch, sugar, and butter, you know.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Jessica was eating it. But it was so funny to have, like, this little moment, like they're playing out all the childhood moments that they missed, like, eat your spaghetti, you know, and she sat there and pouted like a little teenager, but they both enjoyed it, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, because this idea is what Jessica wanted, but Jessica knows enough of the world that this can't be, you know?
Right, but despite all of that, right? No, but like as far as just taking a moment to exist in that fantasy world, they both did because they both wanted it, and like the reality and the circumstances that they find themselves in, they both know it can't last. But the fact that for a moment they had just a moment that was just eat your spaghetti, you know, and they both allowed that to happen and took that, and I think that is pretty important and pretty powerful. They got to have like a little childhood memory that was things were normal, you know, for a second.
And that was fantastic. Meanwhile, over on Trish Talk, Trish has her mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore moment. You know, for those of you who saw broadcast news, you know, where they have the unstable guy on TV and he starts ranting and raving and eventually goes to the window and says, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Get off my lawn. And that is what Trish does to this poor woman trying to sell her, you know, anti-gluten book, you know, going against the grain, which was a brilliant title, by the way, for an anti-gluten book.
Right.
I just got to say. And, you know, and she has this thing where she basically says, you know, gluten doesn't matter. You know, I'm mad as heck, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And of course, this leads to, you know, her basically walking off the show, quitting her show, walking away from everything, in classic big drug addict moment fashion. You know, big drama queen. You know, I am walking away, and.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? But if you think about it, later on she gets a call from a network that wants to put her in real situations. So maybe there's something to be said for the power of drugs sometimes to make you confront the things in your life that you really don't like and allow you to put away the blinders and recognize how annoyed by it you are. And she finally speaks her truth and, you know, tells the universe, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not who I want to be. And lo and behold, you know, something happens and it connects with something else in the universe and a line opened up and some energy flowed and now she's got something that would be better for us. So, I mean, I think there's something to that as well.
Except, of course, that, you know, when she gets that call and says, yeah, it was great, whatever you had, don't lose it.
Yeah.
And then she goes to take her puff and click, click. It's
I guess that's the caveat with shortcuts, right?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, but the thing is that it wasn't It wasn't. I mean, yes, it was a shortcut, but in its own way, it wasn't a shortcut. It just was her reaction. Basically, it was just a meltdown. It was her drug-induced meltdown on TV. It is no different than
I mean, I think
Britney Spears shaving her head or hitting a paparazzi
right.
with an umbrella. It was just.
I think.
It just.
I think there's ways to. I think there's ways to frame it, at least in your own mind, where you can process it differently and say, "Hey, yeah, it's like I got to this moment because I spoke my truth, not because something propelled me to do it. Something just got rid of my fear and allowed the anger to really, truly manifest itself and allow me to speak my truth." So if you frame it that way, there's a way to look at it and say, "I don't need the drug at all. What spoke through once the doors were opened was my true self, and that's what's going to get me through to the next level." So I think as long as you frame that experience properly, you can get away with it being positive.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this is Trish, and she is not going to frame it positively. Because she is an addict. Yeah. And you can see that in her eyes when she realizes that it's out, that she feels so boned. Like, there is no way I can go on from this. And she is, this is her rock bottom in a way. Because she knows she feels she can't go on without her drug. And that is problematic, Yes.
Yeah, and there it is again, the feeling powerless. But I think what she's not realizing is that she has the power to do whatever she wants.
Well, yeah, but this is the idea, and this is this item when she is having this conversation about her drug addiction with Jessica, which I actually believe takes place before this scene. Where. Mm-hmm. Because we do see, first off, in classic addict fashion, when Trish did talk to Malcolm about, did you tell Trish or did you tell Jess about my inhaler? And because that's all she's worried about. She's worried about basically Jessica Jones finding out about it, because she doesn't want her to look down on her. But then you have this moment where when Jessica asks Trish if she's stoned or high, and Trish says, "Are you drunk?" And Jessica just turns back and says, "Yes, I'm always drunk." That's not the point. Because the point is that Jessica can handle her liquor, can handle being drunk, because she has powers. She has the power both spiritually, that the alcohol and the addiction is not overwhelming to her in her life, and she has that physical stamina to not get as drunk as another person would. And Trish,
I think also she's also saying, because Jessica does not like herself as a person, so she thinks she's already a ruined person. Mm-hmm. So I think like her way of saying, but that's besides the point, is also saying, hey, look, I'm already ruined, but I don't want to see what happened to me happen to you. You're better than me. She's always seen her that way, and I think she goes a long way to protect that too.
Yeah, and I think that in that way they both see each other as their own best self. But at the same time,
that's interesting.
Well, they are really close as sisters. And I think that Trish and Jessica have this relationship that does survive the difficulties that they've put each other through. Because as we've seen, as we saw 2 episodes ago, Trish had her addiction problem. She had her issues when she was going through all these things, because what power she could get, this sense of control that she had from fame and fortune, just made her feel smaller. And I think in some way she blames that on the fact that she is growing up next to someone who has real powers. That no matter what Trish does, she is still always vulnerable. And of course, the irony is that, of course, Jessica, in our entire first season, was all about the fact that even though Jessica had powers, she too was vulnerable. And
right. Yeah. So, I mean, you could completely see it the other way, like Trish has the power to have an audience. Trish has the power to even, do a lot of normal people things that she can. She can get close to people. She can have relationships. She has her mother as messed up as she is, but, and she's respected in the world. People don't look at it. It's like...
Yeah.
It can go both ways.
But, of course, the whole thing is that, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Right.
That, and you always see the other person as having the better life, not because there's anything to really base that on, but just because you see what they have that you don't, not what they lack that you don't,
That you do.
Exactly, yeah, or that they lack that you do, and that I think is the dynamic between the two, they are always at these odds because one seems like they have had everything given to them, and the other one feels the same for the other person, but they both feel that everything has always been just out of each other's reach. So it's interesting because it's about focusing on what you don't have, not what you do. Gotta accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Yeah, just for a little bit of pop psychology there. Anyway, so bad Dr. Maynard didn't come back at some point in this. I really wanted some more with the Ringmaster, but we move on. Because we actually get a really dramatic scene here, and one of the things that I think is very interesting is, when Oscar realizes that his son has been kidnapped by his ex, he comes to Jessica and says, I need you to do what you do.
Right. Because you had me do what I do.
Exactly. And for what it's worth, she does owe him a lot. But, and for what it's worth, she's willing to do it. And, of course, there's this idea, well, we're going to just leave Chang in the bathtub. And they do opt to just leave Chang in the bathtub because, as Jessica says, I'm not about to leave
but
you.
Not before stabbing him with another giant dose of, what did she say, elephant tranquilizer?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, something like that. They go...
haphazardly.
Yeah, because honestly, this guy is lucky to be alive.
Really? It's just like saying, leave the turkey in the oven, just make sure it's on.
Yes. Oh, boy. Anyway.
Crazy.
But they do go and they realize, they go to her apartment. And for what it's worth, she does do her detectiving. She does her detecting. She realizes that there was, that there's one credit card that she would have had access to. Oscar had access to as well to see where they were going. Realize that they're going to Canada, and they have to figure out, is it the Niagara Falls or it's the Montreal bus. The Montreal bus starts to leave, and thank goodness they were actually on the Montreal bus, because they actually tried to stop that bus before they knew that.
Right.
And it's an interesting. The physics of it is interesting when they do stop the bus. And granted, I will say this, at least they do have that they are lifting the bus.
Right.
It's not purely that they're just pulling on the bus and making it stop, because that's not how physics work. Because even though they are superhumanly strong, they are, the two of them together probably weigh no more than, 250.
Right, nor do they have the traction to, translate the energy.
Exactly, no. But what they're doing is they are lifting the bus off of the ground, and apparently it's not front-wheel drive. So once the back wheels are off the ground, it does slow down relatively quickly,
Right.
Although those boots have got to be completely worn through at this point. That's all I got to say.
Right.
Good thing they were both wearing their Doc Martens today. That's all you can say there.
Unless they have someone like Edna from The Incredibles making their shoes, then they could survive,
Yes, but they don't. This is totally off the rock. Although, as I always say, in a world with Tony Stark, materials science may be very much more advanced. So,
he should have like a superhero grant system where you apply with your powers and your resume of things that you've done, and if they feel like you're worthy, you get like a suit tailored to enhance and protect you.
Well, that's a whole other thing. Not for nothing. Have you watched any of Luke Cage yet?
No, I have not. I've been waiting to finish with this so I can do that.
Yes.
But it looks really, really good.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I've only gotten 1.5 episodes in yet because I'm actually trying to be good about it. But I have seen the first, and there's a scene in there that makes me go. That at first I'm thinking, oh, is that from Tony Stark? And
Ooh.
yeah, but it's very interesting. I can't wait to watch it. I'm actually trying to be good with it. But we got to get these Jessica Joneses out the door, so that's what we're going to do next.
So I think my favorite part of that scene was after Oscar gets his son off the bus, his ex-wife comes storming over. Oscar's away, and Jessica steps in front, and all of a sudden she's talking to the woman, and she chooses to engage this crazy, aggressive woman with just logic and understanding, and tells her exactly what she needs to hear about the truth of the situation that she wasn't seeing. No matter what, you're still his mom. It's going to be okay. And it reaches her, and she turns around, and she knows she was wrong, but she needed an excuse to not, hold on to trying to be right anymore.
Yes.
And Jessica gave her that. It was very, very interesting. And what I thought was really great about that is her mom's reaction to seeing that happen. Because in her mind, the only way to deal with this situation is to kill the threat immediately. Yeah. And to see Jessica apply something a bit more tactful and, and to have it still work was very powerful for her. And I think that feeds into her decision at the end.
Yeah, well, but you know what? I think that there was one other thing, one specific thing she makes a mention of in that, which is, she doesn't need her mom, and he doesn't need her mom in jail. Which is
sort of like contradictory to exactly what Jessica wants.
Well, Jessica doesn't want her mom in jail, but what happens is that at the end of it, Price has come to.
No, but I think Price does the same thing for Jessica that Jessica did for the ex-wife. Sometimes people just need permission to let go of certain things because they don't feel it's the right thing to do. But as soon as someone paints a picture that gives you that permission, you are able to do something. And through it all, Price, has a shining, redeeming moment here where he gets through to Jessica and says, okay, yeah, me and you were square, but not her. She's a killer. And that's when Jessica hears an outside perspective, reaffirm what she really believes inside. And she says, yes, this is how it was done, but this is what she really wants. Is she wants her mom to pay for her sin so that if she comes back, then they can have a true relationship.
Well, exactly. And, not for nothing, that is where they have to be.
Right. Because she's got to make herself whole by paying her debt to society. And then once she's whole, they can get to know each other, I think.
Well, exactly. And this is where they find themselves. And, of course, Alyssa is not having this. Jessica tells Price to run, and we get the fight between Jessica and Alyssa. And Jessica and Alyssa gets her moment where she realizes, and this comes back to this moment that we got earlier with Alyssa's night terrors, which is her flashing back to that moment where she woke up as the meat monster, screaming, where's Jessica, where's Jessica, and accidentally hurts Jessica in that moment. And here, again, she almost kills Jessica. And I think that's what is that moment for Alyssa as well, to realize she can never be what she wants to be. You can't go back again. You can't stop being the monster.
But at least, now that she did this, Jessica at least knows that she's alive
Mm-hmm.
and she's not suffering from that experience as much as before.
Yes, and I think that's what is going to be the second half of our season, is the two of them working through what we have now. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
No, I thought it was really great. The bits between her and her mom and them working through that relationship was the meat of the whole thing here, and I really enjoyed it. It really was worth the build-up.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a very good episode. They're really getting the drama and the pain and everything that is a part of this series right in this episode, and I like that. Okay.
There's one other thing. When Shane finally gets to Hogarth and starts doing his little thing.
Oh yes.
Was she? Do you think he healed her? Is she healed? Do you think? Because they didn't sort of like really finish that thought.
Well, I think Hogarth definitely feels healed. I think that moment is meant to be, because I think from the very first moment when he first touches her hand when he's in prison, and I think she feels that this power is real, and then and she essentially blackmails him into doing this for him against his protestations, and. So yeah, I think that this entire process is meant that that basically I think, and I think she has her little, you see it on her face as she's feeling this sensation that the demons are out, that the illness is being pulled from her body, and I think that is what she feels at that moment.
Or that she was returning to her body, almost.
Yeah, that her body was back under control. And that is definitely what she's coming away from, but we're going to have to see what happens next episode, Mozz.
Indeed.
There's never a happy ending, that's all I got to say.
Oh, man.
Yeah, well, okay, Mozz.
I really had high hopes for her. She was turning around and able to feel something for someone again. She had hope, and I don't know how. Damn, man! Now I'm like down on the whole thing. I was really happy for her.
It may not be what you think. I'm just saying there are no happy endings. That's all.
All right.
This is the dark and gritty Marvel universe, man. This is Netflix. Loves die, and and even if they come back evil. So, Mozz, how can people find you if they would like to reach out to you and touch you in some magical way?
Oh, well, they can reach me via email at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. It's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way the way our Mozz and Paz once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet Cloak and Dagger, Marvel's newest bestest series out there, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle for quality. 4 more episodes left, people. Then we go back to Sweet Christmas, the Cage Cast. And in the meantime, me and Mozz, we just really want to be your friends. Have a great night.